Barak, Yahweh, Alam, Shalom, righteous family. Welcome back to TRU-TALK. And today I want to try to answer a question that caused, you know, many debates and division of who are we. And for me, it's the scripture already answered that for me. We are Hebrew Israelites. And me being Bible based and believing the Bible, I'm chapter, book, and verse. The Bible is my foundation. So yes, I believe in the slave trade. According to scripture, I believe that our people was brought here in captivity as slaves. But there's a rising of many so-called black people saying we're not African, we are native to this land. We are Native American, and we are the true Indians. Now, as crazy as that must sound to some people, I never say something sounds crazy. Because, when you tell certain people that black people are the true Israelites and that Moses was a Negro man and David and Solomon was all what we consider so called black men, a lot of people would consider that ridiculous and crazy to even think about. Not only it's not crazy, but there's evidence to legitimize these these statements. For instance, it's written down a statement that when Columbus and other people first came to America, they said that they seen, and this is how they described the Indians, copper colored people that resemble Africans. Now, when we look at these pictures, which one resembles an African? Which one is a copper colored? And if you don't know, copper colored is a brown. If you've seen a brown penny. In some of the old paintings of Native Americans, they are not only painting but statues. They are black people, black men with woolly hair. Not to mention that, if you black, we all done heard that you got Indian in your blood. Your auntie or your grandma said your great great granddaddy was an Indian or half Indian. But a lot of so called black people are going back in history and finding that their great great granddaddy, got paperwork so they ancestors being labeled as an Indian from certain Indian tribes. So this ideal of black people being the original Native American is not without merit or evidence. But at the same time, I have seen pictures where the Native Americans look like this Caucasian Mexican dude over here. And there's also plenty paper trail and evidence to show that they are the Native Americans. So what's going on here? How do we make sense of this? And me, trying to be unbiased and really looking at this thing for what it is, I think I got the answer. Now I gotta say it may not be the answer that we thought or hoped. It may be better, it may be worse. However you consider it, but the truth is don't favor nobody. The truth is just the truth. But this is only part one. I'm gonna call this. I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but I know this is part one because I'm gonna. I'm just gonna give you an oversee of what I believe what's going on here. Uh, when I do part two, I'm gonna bring forth all the evidence that all the. I'm gonna show some evidence, but this is not a deep dive where I'm gonna show you everything that I came across to why I came to this conclusion. I'm still digging also, but I got all the evidence, and I'm just saying, you know what? I'm gonna come on here real quick and let them know what I have found so far and what I believe. While I'm still searching, but I'm not gonna show you on here on this video. I'm not gonna show you all the evidence and everything that I ran across, but I am gonna show you something and kind of give you why I came to this conclusion. So I believe two things can be true at the same time, and one can be highlighted and one can be discarded. And I think that's what we have here. To better explain this, before I just go out and write and tell y'all what it is and why it is that way, I'm gonna walk y'all down and show y'all why I see it that way. Now this www.futurewriting.org, so y'all can read this yourself. But notice what it says. Let me go back up. It says colonizer shipped it Native American abroad as slavery. See that? Colonizer shipped Native Americans abroad as slavery. What? So like I said, you can go here and read it yourself. It's a good read. And of course, I think there's a narrative that they painting, but you always gotta pull the truth out of the BS. I want y'all to read right here. It says during the war, New England's colony rotated shipping Native American as slaves to Barbados, Bermuda, Jamaica, don't know how to say that word, Azores, Spain, technically in North Africa. So Native American was shipped all over the America. See, when we think about the trade, the slave trade, see, often when we think about the slave trade, they tell us the coast of West Africa and Central Africa, Africans got shipped all over the world to South America, to North America, to all the little islands. Even up here, you see this little line right here. They even got shipped to Europe. But what they don't tell you, why they was shipping so-called Negroes and Africans to the Americas, there was already, yes, I'm gonna say it, so-called Negroes, black people here that they shipped, as we just read, to North Africa. to the Bahamas, to other parts of the world. Now, if you look at Jamaica, we know how Jamaica look. Do Jamaica look like Mexico? When you look up, and let's just look up some of the names that they mention. It says Native American was shipped to the Bermuda. I typed in Bermuda. You see, look like Negroes to me. These are the people that live on that island. I looked up Barbados people. These are the Barbados people. And I ain't even got to look up the Jamaican people. We know how Jamaica and many of the Caribbeans look. These were the so called Native Americans. I'm going to say the dark ones with woolly hair was shipped to. And it said that these people shipped to North Africa, to Spain, to Jamaica, to all these places. Native America was shipped there. So where are these people today? If we read right here, it says, this is where I'm reading at. It says the modern day community of individual in Bermuda who claim New English Indian descent. So just like black people in America, you got black people in the Bahamas claiming, yeah, we Indians, yeah, we our descendants, we got Indian in our blood. And what Negroes don't understand that black people come with different skin colors and texture here. Or most black people got real woolly, what they call 4C hair? Yes, but not all. And just because your hair is, I hate the good hair. It's not good hair. No such thing as good hair, bad hair. It's just healthy hair. Your hair is either healthy or not. That's just different texture. But they'll consider somebody that got wavy hair or instead of a 4C, maybe a 3C or a 2C hair. And they'll say, oh, you got that good stuff. You must got Indian in your blood. Or they'll say, yeah, I got Indian in my blood, so that's why my hair like this. That's a myth that is white supremacist ideal that black people are what they call it a monopoly. That there's no different. That we all just are one in the same. We'll give you an example like majority of Caucasian got straight hair. That's understood. But you will see a few of them with wavy or even curly hair. And you never hear them say, oh, he must be mixed because he got curly hair. Because his hair real curly. Only we do that because this idea of being other than African, other than black, other than who we are, it's exciting to say we got their blood or their characteristic in us because we look down on who we are so bad. Just wanted to throw that out there. So, during the slave trade, as we would call it, some people call it the slave war because when you look at it, it was really the war declared on the Israelites. But nevertheless, many Native Americans, so called black Native Americans, were shipped out of the Americas in the slave trade, while many Africans from the continent were shipped to the Americas and the islands during the slave trade. And for all those brothers like to say, oh, the Mexicans or the tribe Issachar and the white Native Americans over here or Gab. I just typed this in. Did Mexican own slaves during the slave trade? And it says yes. Mexicans did own slaves during the slave trade. So not only so-called black people from the continent of Africa got shipped to South America, but the so-called black people that was on in North America, what we know as Native American, the indigenous black people, because black people we are indigenous to the land, period, to the earth. So our descendants, yeah, they more than likely this whole idea about history. See, when you go about how they tell you it's history as that's where things get confusing. Truth is, there's nothing new up under the sun. People been traveling all over the world, dealing with each other. This is we like to make like, oh, we so advanced and we doing what our ancestors didn't do, but then we can't explain the pyramids and certain technology that we find, and we done found. Oh, how was they able to do that? And every evidence that we find that uh change history or will change how things are really went, they discard it and don't bring it to forth. When they say people been traveling the world on ships and been doing natural trade with one another. So yes, the so-called black people, and I believe the black people that was here came from the continent of Africa. According to the scripture, all life started in Africa with Adam and Eve. And yes, during the Tower of Babel, we were scattered and had different language. You read that, it said we were scattered over all the face of the earth, not some. So yeah, there was Negroes over here, and they got shipped to South Africa into slavery. They got shipped into uh, Europe into slavery. They even got shipped into South Africa in slavery. And if you read that article that I just pulled up, it'll tell you how many of them got lost. Like there's no record of them. The once they got sold into Jamaicas or this and that, like nobody know what became of them. They said most of the people just became the locals there and became a part of just was known as Jamaica or this or that. But some of them they got lost in the trade. They don't know where they at. Now tell me, wouldn't a so-called Indian stand out in Africa if he being shipped over there as slave trades? So yes, all these people was what we call so-called Negroes. So what about the so-called pale-face red Indian? They was over here too. There's nothing new up under the sun. See, what if you really look into the Native Americans? That was over. They said 2,000 tribes. We only know about Cherokee, Blackfoot. We only know about a couple. But it says there was over 200 tribes. And yes, you had the so-called Black American Indians and the white red-faced Indian. Both occupy this land. Now, because it was all about skin color and white supremacists, the dark-skinned ones, the ones that wasn't killed and murdered, got shipped into slavery across the world and went into slavery. Just as the scripture testify about Israelites going into slavery and being scattered to the four corners. And the red faced pale Indians, because they are more kin to the white man and are distant family, the white man made a covenant with them. The The ones that didn't got killed and murdered, the few of them started marrying with the white man and made covenants with them. So later on, that's why you see these people having our people as slaves. And to the fact that they didn't even want to let our people go as slaves. Read the book, uh, Red Slave, Black, I mean, Red Master, Black Slave. It's about how the Indians used to own our people. And they said that a testifier of one of the men said that from the white man owning us and the red man owning us, it was no different. They both was brutal. They both treated us with no respect. So all the Israelite camps try to make like, oh, these people are our people, they Israelite, they Iskar. They forget that there are plenty black people, whether they were shipped there from Africa through the slave trade or shipped there uh, from North America to South Africa. There are black people there that are mistreated. There are few in numbers, just as black people in America, what they say, we make up 15% of black people in America, we few in numbers and mistreated. They also few in numbers in Mexico and get mistreated. It wasn't until 2000 and something where they was even acknowledged as a people. Can you imagine living in a country all your life and they don't even acknowledge you? Well, I forgot what it called, like 2000 something, where they just put their name and label them as Afro Mexicans. So yes, both of these people was on the continent, uh, what we call North America, was in Americans. Both were slaughtered and killed, but only one was sold into slavery, while one made a covenant with the white man. So let's talk about the so-called black people that look in their descendants, and they say, "Oh, I got a great great granddaddy that was named that was labeled as an Indian." Now I done looked in that too. So you got to understand, um, on the slave when during the days of slavery, what they don't like to tell you was there was always rebellion. A lot of black people ran and escaped from slavery. And one of the reasons why, instead of having the black Native American that was already here as slave, was because they were too familiar with the land. So if you take somebody, if you ship so-called black people to this land and ship so-called black people off this land to another land where they're not familiar with, then they don't know how to run and escape or run or hide to. Where they gonna go? They don't know the land. It's like trying to hold somebody captive in their own house. They know their house better than you. They know a little hiding space you don't know. They know how to survive off. So it was a technique to keep our slaves from running away. But regardless, a lot of slaves still ran away. And when they ran away, they ran into the white man, the red man, Indians. And all of them was not bad. All of them did not own slaves because a lot of them knew before the white man came that both of them lived side by side in harmony and peace. So even the our ancestor that was brought over here from Africa, that was brought into slavery, when they escaped, a lot of times they joined forces or hooked up with a red-faced Indian, and these Indians accepted them into their tribe, and they became a part of an Indian tribe. Now, remember our people, we didn't have last name, we didn't, you know, no culture, whatever. So, if a black man escaped from slavery, that was brought over there, his ancestor was brought from Africa, and he escaped from slavery, and he ended up with one of these uh, red, pale-faced Indians, and they accepted him in because they seen that the so-called Negro man that he was strong and educated and can do everything. So they're like, he'll be a good benefit. Let's help him. Yeah, we'll hide you from the white man. And he became a part of their tribe so much, even some of our people became chief of these tribes. So yes, if they hooked up with a Cherokee Indian tribe or a Bigfoot tribe, then from now on, that's what they would consider themselves. They became a part of that family. So not having being stripped from everything and being a slave, when you join a Cherokee tribe, you become a part of that tribe, and that's your identity. So there was a lot of black people that escaped it and joined with these tribes and took on that name as the tribe because they was a part of the tribe now. And during the recolonization, they was trying to, you know, group everybody in a name or a title. A lot of these black people that escaped from uh, slavery, they, you know, was classified as the tribe that they had joined. But later on, they was reclassified as Negroes because they was like, nah, you was a slave that escaped to join with this tribe. You're not really of this tribe. Now, of course, there's also a thing as $5 Indians, where a lot of Caucasian people was paying $5 just to be labeled as Indians so they can get the benefits. So yeah, you had a lot of that going on. A lot of muddy in the waters. So a lot of black people that was a family and a part of these tribes and took on the name and identities of these tribes on paper was reclassified as Negroes because of course the white people didn't want them to get the benefit of these so-called tribes. So I hope that all makes sense. Uh, like I said, this is part one. I just want to share some of the information that I came across and learned. With part two, I'm gonna bring all the information forth. It's gonna be much longer than this, but nevertheless, that yes, we are Israelites. We are the original people, and just as Scripture says, it don't matter if you was in America or Africa, you're not gonna escape prophecy. Prophecy was we was gonna get shipped into all nations as captives, and our black sisters and brothers that was already here before Columbus came, that's what happened to them. Our brothers and sisters that was in Africa running from prosecution, that's what happened to them. And it's funny with this LPA because they'll look at a Jamaican or somebody from the Caribbeans, Negroes, and they'll say, hey, we different. You not us. But you know that during the slave trade, that they were just dropped off. We like to say they were just dropped off first. But not only that, to bring forth that we even more the same people. For those that say we are Native America, don't you know many black so-called Native Americans got shipped to the Bahamas and Jamaica and the islands, the diaspora? So if you saying that you are native, then you basically saying that these are your people. But the truth is, the idea that America is older than what people think, and they got old pyramids. Like the whole thought is foolish because that shows you believe the lies that you've been taught instead of really doing research and understanding that the whole earth is ancient. This idea that America is the new land. No, how America is new land? When the Most High created the heavens and earth, the same time Africa came in existence, America came in existence. So no, it's not no that there's a place on this earth more older than another place. Now we know that civilization started in Africa, but people were spread all over this land. And yes, all the whole earth is ancient. So this idea that America is more ancient than we think, and they got old pyramids. Duh, you believe the lie that this was the new world and nobody was here, or only these pale-faced Indians was here? No, ask the Most High for understanding, ask for clarity, ask for wisdom. And even when digging in the information, you know, have discernment to know what is true and what's not true. And they'll tell on themselves by the language they use. So yeah, both of these individuals was in Africa. I mean, to sum it all up, both of these individuals, the so-called red Indian and the black Indian, were both in America before Columbus arrived, specifically in North America, before Columbus arrived here. They both got slaughtered and killed. But the so-called Negroes got scattered into slavery across the world, while the pale-faced ones that were left over made a treaty, and that's why they able to receive the benefits and to be called the true Native Americans. But yes, uh, I wouldn't say the Indians are not indigenous to this land. We was both living on this land together. Now I don't know who came first. You know, there's this whole idea that the Red Indians came through California from, those Eskimo people. There's DNA to say, yeah, not only the Native Americans, the red pale-faced Native Americans, but Mexicans also are connected to the Eskimo people, which are connected to the Chinese people, like a descendant of the Chinese people, which we know the Chinese people are the descendants or distant descendants of the Caucasian people. They all fall up under the group of how you got Negrozoids, you got Caucasoids, or however you say it, Caucasianozoids, Mexicans, Chinese, Koreans, European, all fall up under the so-called Caucasoids. And then of course you got the Indians and the Africas, you know, black people fall up under the Negro Azor. And then you got the Mongol, where basically it's just like where people mix. There's always been people mix, and they are considered the Mongol, and some would consider the Mexicans also that, but their bloodlines more in line with the Caucasian and the Igloo people that I call. But so yeah, a lot of people believe that the red face pale Native American uh, came down through Canada in the Americas from from the Igloo people and the black uh, Native Americans, so-called black people that was here. Of course, they believe that they came from the continent of Africa. Way before Columbus came, they had boats or whatever, and they came over here and made a living. But this is all I got for right now. It makes sense to me. Uh, Two things that can be true at the same time. And I like to say nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to the Most High. He just allowed for us to stay here, and we gotta be grateful. So trying to prove that this is ours, this is yours, whatever the Most High say is ours, is ours. And He said He created the earth for us, and of course there's certain territory that the Most High allowed for certain people to have authority over and uh, habitate. But when we don't do it the Most High way, we just come in, steal, kill, and pillage and take. This is what we have today, confusion. But even when it comes to some of these islands, you know, when you go back in history, there was also two type of people. There was the Negroes people there, and these so-called uh, Indians or Mexican-looking people. Some of them to me look more like Chinese Mexican-looking people. When you look at some of the islands, you always had two type of people. What they call the uh, Immigrant or the native of the land, and they come as two sides. They can always come as black or these Mongol-looking people that kind of look Mexican mixed with Chinese. And I think the white man when he came, he seen these two people there, and he started war with these two people. Also made these two people war against each other, and then he claimed what they had and mixed up history. So now we don't know what is what. But I always say the truth can be hidden, but it can't be uh, destroyed. And if you look for it and ask for it from the Most High, He'll reveal it to you. Some things is just He just let you know. But this part one. But as always, let Yah be true and every man a lie. Till next time, Shalom.